Emmanuel Macron of France is going to have a summit of Francophonie in Kenya. Weird, right? Kenya is an English-speaking country, and France is a French-speaking country. Interesting. What's up, everybody? Hope you're doing good. It's a beautiful night. It's not cold tonight, actually, for the very first time in a long time. It feels quite chill tonight. So yeah, I'm out here, in my vest, feeling myself and trying to bring you some good news. Hope you're doing good. It's a beautiful pleasure to always have you with me. I appreciate you very much. Thank you for supporting us. YouTube said that many of you watch us, but you don't subscribe. Please take a moment and do click on the button. We really appreciate that. Let's push this channel further. This is where we discuss. We are free-minded. We want to understand what's happening in the world. We really are tired of mainstream media and their lies, unfortunately. So you probably need somebody that's just like you, looks like you, feels kind of like you, or your cousin, to tell you things that's probably beneficial to you. Okay, so we are in Kenya. This is Kenya. Here's a map. Lovely place, beautiful people, really nice. You've never been to Africa, Kenya is one of the places I would suggest you go and have a look. Whether you're African and you want to see a different kind of Africa, very vibey, very playful, very musical, very exploratory, go have a look at Kenya. I really like it. Feels good. You're certainly going to find something very interesting to you. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is Kenya is going to have a summit with France. France is going to have a summit in Kenya. Francophonie or francophone or French speakingness is an idea that was born many years ago with the goal of keeping colonies together. Okay, it sounds like I'm teaching you French, but most countries that learn how to speak French learned how to speak French with being beaten up at the same time. So it was with road, You're gonna learn how to speak French. Speak French. That's the language. Leave your mama's tongue. And many African nations today speak French as their main language. Okay? And because in this generation, many people are born in a system where they speak French, they don't find any issue with that. You would find an issue if you were forced. But the people that were forced to speak French, most of them are dead. They're not alive anymore. This is a brand new generation. Today, it's normalized. French is the main language. Now, this is the first time in 53 years for France to have one of its big events, summit, in an English-speaking country. And that raises question. Why does France want to have French summit in an English-speaking country? Very interesting. That's what we're going to see. So number one, what are they going to talk about? They want to talk about climate issues. Okay. They want to discuss climate and reform in international financial architecture. We're going to talk about that. So the reason why they want to talk about climate issue is that Ruto and Emmanuel Macron are campaigning in particular for the establishment of an international climate tax on carbon emission. Did you hear that? Ruto of Kenya, our brother, with Emmanuel Macron, are campaigning for the establishment of an international climate tax on carbon emission. Let me break that down for you. You know the story, they believe that the world is getting hotter and hotter and hotter. And as the world is getting hotter or warmer, we are seeing consequences all over the place. Number one consequence is the ice is melting. And as the ice is melting, the sea level is rising. And the sea level is rising is creating tsunamis. And tsunamis are provoking fires in the forest, in the mountain. And that's the reason why we have dryness and drought and many other things happening. Climate change, they believe, is caused by emission of gas. The emission of gas can be done by many things. By cars, for instance, when your car goes and there's smoke, it's an emission of gas. By big companies, big industries, when your big factory produces smoke, that gas emission is one of the reasons why we have the world heating up. They also believe agriculture is producing gas emission, and the gas emission is one of the reasons why the world is warming up. They also believe animals like cows and goats and sheep are producing emission by farting. Yes, farting, and that's gas emission. It is causing the world to warm up. Therefore, they believe there should be a way to regulate all that. So people who have big companies should be paying special tax. People who have agricultural fields should be paying special tax. People who own goats, sheep and chicken and stuff should be paying special tax. Now, that sounds right, but it doesn't limit itself to that. They also say that human beings, individuals, are producing a very high level of gas by just existing, by just moving around, by touching things, by moving the car. So they believe that every human being on Earth should be paying a carbon tax emission. So in other words, let me give an example. Everybody will have a system where you have 10 units of gas emission. Let's say you cook a hamburger homemade. That's one emission going. Let's say you make some fish. That's number 2 emission going. Let's say you make a soup at night to drink. That's your 3rd point of credit in carbon emission that's going. So every time you do something, they take something away from you. Every time you do something, they take some points or credit away from you. Now, by the time you exhaust your 10 credits on tax emission, you should not be able to use anything else that produces that. So they should be taxing you for using things that create heat. That's the program they have internationally. Macron has agreed to it. William Ruto has agreed. Guess who else has agreed to it? Most presidents of NATO have agreed to it. Russia has not necessarily done that. Now, who is the father of all this? I'm not going to say the name, because if you say the name of this person, your video gets shadow banned. Yeah, shadow banned, they slow your video down. Now, you can do your own research. It's a person, is an older person. Most presidents respect him. He calls up meetings and summits and people come. You know who I'm talking about. He came up with that story. Tax on carbon emission on everybody. That's the plan there. I think it's necessary we talk about these things because many people don't understand. You just think it's a summit, French people doing a summit. No, they say, number one, they're going to talk about it's to establish an international climate tax carbon emission. International. It's not even Kenya. It's international. So we're bringing everybody together by force. No country should be forced to choose between eradicating poverty and protecting the planet. That's what the Kenyan president has said. President Ruto, sometimes I think he sounds very white. They want a reform in financial structure in the world. What kind of reform can we talk about? Using paper money should be obsolete. They should be using money that is not paper. So paperless money. These two things go well together. Paperless money and taxing you for farting and for speaking and for frying chicken go together. How does it go together? Because if money is associated with each person, obviously money that's not paper, if you do something wrong, if you violate the tax emission regulation, they can just block your money or subtract your money or prevent you from using your money. Or how about they just prevent you from using your money? By the time you go to the shop, you want to buy a hamburger, it goes, now decline, you cannot buy because you've already reached your limits of the month of beef eating or fry. How about that? It sounds crazy, but reform in financial structure and tax emission on everybody, that's how it's going together. So let's get that to the side because we don't want to get to, not today. We're going to get, not today. Why does the French president go to Kenya now, not to a French-speaking African country? Because they've lost popularity. In most African countries, they don't want French presence anymore because they feel like they've woken up to their lies. Many, many years of apartheid, or let's call it colonization, being mistreated, being beaten up. Then post-apartheid, post-colonization, continuing to steal from the government, continuing to take away from them. People have seen that and they've had enough of it. Very lately, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger kicked out French soldiers from their land because they felt like they were not working for the interest of the Malians, even though they say they were fighting terrorists, but in reality, they were not fighting terrorists. Apparently, supposedly, the French soldiers that came to fight terrorists were indeed providing the terrorists with intelligence, with drones, with cars, with weapons. That's what many people think, allegedly. Is this true? We don't know. Only the Malians, the Burkinabe, and the Nigerians know. So France is trying to change things. They want to bring a brand new image, okay? Also, Kenya president also has done a lot of things that Kenyans don't like very much. From the tax he started, the story about tax on bread, tax on cooking oil, tax on cancer treatment, and people were very angry about that. And then later on, he came up with a story of selling away Jomo Kenyatta Airport to the Indians, and people got very, very upset about that. So you need to do something where he's going to look like a hero. And the best thing to do right now is let's get the French here and make it look like it's all big and stuff. And France, like I said earlier, they need to find new partners. They need brand new partners. If it's not working with the French-speaking countries in Africa, let's try the English-speaking people. We need to cooperate. We need to have a geopolitical landscape and friendship and partners. Now, William Ruto is the only African president that went to visit the American president very recently. Yeah, they embraced him in a big way possible. Yeah, many people came. It was a big, big reception. And it was a message that's very clear. William Ruto has got his soldiers, his policemen fighting in Haiti for the interest of Americans. That's what allegedly it is said. So William Ruto is accepting to review the financial architecture. Many African nations don't sign up to that. They don't like it. William Ruto wants to establish an international tax carbon emission with Emmanuel Macron. William Ruto is very much friendly with the country that you don't name. You know that country, you don't name it. When you name them, you have issues. Your video gets slowed down. That country that bombing the other country, you know the country we talk. Yeah, that's the one. William Ruto is still supporting them, even though the people of that smaller place are really, really, really suffering. William Ruto is still praying. I don't know if it's because of the, when people pray, they think that it has nothing to do with the Bible. No, it does. No, unfortunately, that's the case. Let me know how you feel about this. We love Ruto, but we want Ruto to work for the interest of Africans. But as far as things are going, a story about re-evaluating the international financial markets, the structure and payment and stuff, I don't know about that. Re-evaluating and establishing an international climate tax carbon on everybody that's farting and talking loud and cooking burger homemade and stuff like that, having sheep and cows and chicken. You have to pay extra tax. I don't know about that. Now, putting those two things together is very dangerous. If they can have a financial structure that can be controlled, plus a tax, international tax on carbon emission, my brothers, this is the beginning of the end. God bless.